Good morning. Happy Saturday. Yes, Amy, it is a very chilly morning here in central Ohio. And we're expecting a lot of rain overnight and tomorrow also. Hi, Connie and Avis. I'm happy to have you with me. I'd love it if you'd share this Facebook Live. We'll wait just about 30 seconds and then we'll get started. Thanks for accommodating me on this Saturday morning. Usually I do a Facebook Live on Fridays at 11 a.m. But my daughter was here yesterday. She'll be here for, Emily will be here from Cincinnati. She has a little bit of a break this week, and then she starts her third year of grad school on Monday. But I'll be spending the rest of today and then tomorrow with both my girls. So it's always nice to have family time. But Emily was in the Columbus area staying at her dad's the last two nights. So she came over here during the day while Peter was away at work. And I worked some and she studied, and then we went and had lunch together. So, or I guess 2 p.m. 2 p.m. is when I do Fridays. So that was a nice afternoon with her. If you're watching, please be sure to comment throughout the Facebook Live, because I will be giving away a card or two, perhaps today. I told you on Wednesday that I would do another project using the Basic Borders dies. We made some gift cards with the ombre glitter paper or ombre specialty paper on Wednesday using these two dies. So I said today I would focus on one of the others. So this is the one I'm using from the set. And I also got more new products in, so I want to feature the You're a Peach suite. So it's got a wonderful stamp set, and this is one of those distinctive ones, so the images just come out so really neat and real looking. And I'm going to show you how to add shading with more than one color to those peaches, and you can also do it with your flowers and leaves if you wish to. And then it has some wonderful sentiments that you can use individually or combine with some of the other ones in the set, along with a wonderful die set for cutting out all of those pieces if you wish to do that. Another feature of this product suite is these jars. And I was picturing them as being very small, but I love the size. They come in a set of 6, I want to say for like $9. They are plastic with a metal lid, and they hold about half a cup of something. I saw that our CEO, Sarah Douglas, used these with her, I believe, 12 or 14-year-old daughter who had a party or belonged to some kind of group or something, but they had a gathering. And with the girls, she made bath salts, and each girl got to take a jar full of bath salts home, and they decorated the top. It was just an awesome project. So I thought that would be really something fun to do for a gift in the future. And then finally, we have this gorgeous designer series paper. And you all know how I feel about designer series papers. I love it. I have to have it. Can't get enough of it. Want to use it all the time. So I thought I would show you each of the pieces of DSP. Don't forget, if you're watching, to share and to comment so that you get your name entered into a drawing to win a card from today's Facebook Live. So the colors are just fabulous. You can see so many bright, beautiful colors in there. And then there's this small peach print on the back. I love this with the blue background, balmy blue background. I thought this was a fun print. And some watercolor stripes. Some beautiful blossoms with some smaller balmy blue stripes. This is gorgeous as well. Polka dots. And this is the one that we'll be using today, which pretty much encompasses all of the colors in this designer series paper pack. There's Pale Papaya, Mango Melody, Balmy Blue, Pear Pizzazz. Let's see if I forgot anything. Bumblebee, Calypso Coral, a little bit of early espresso in there, and some Petal Pink. So you can see that there's just beautiful blending and coloring of various Stampin' Up! Colors in this. So let's get started. Today I have 2 cards to make with you. I'll show you the cards first. So here's the first one. You can see I used the Basic Borders die on there. And then I did lots of stamping for a background, and this is the inside of the card. For the second card we'll be making today, I used the designer series paper on the front. And believe it or not, I used the same basic border die, but look at the difference. And I'll show you how to get that from that one die. Another difference on here is I just made the border between the 2 edges smaller and left a white edge along the fold, whereas here I pushed my pale pink all the way over to the fold. So just a few simple changes, but basically it's the same card layout. So let's get started making these together. Okay, so for this first one, the most important thing I want to show you on this is not only using the basic border dies, but how to stamp the peaches so you get this variation in color. It's much easier than you think, and I think you're really going to enjoy this sponge dauber technique. So let's go ahead and cut our sides of our cardstock first, just so we can get this big bulky machine out of the way. For the basic border dies, if you are cutting an edge for a card base, you really do need the large Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. Now, if you're doing just a piece of paper that you can fit in this direction in the small machine, by all means, you want to use the mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. But for today, I will be using the standard size one. Now on this die, you'll see, hopefully you can, I think you can see this on the screen. You'll see there are dots on one side of the cutting edge, and then there are little stitching marks on the opposite side. So whatever side you want showing, you want that to be against the main part of your paper. So on this one, I have the dotted side. So I'm going to make sure that those dots will be on the main part of my card base and the stitches on the part that's getting cut away. Now, when you do this, I highly suggest you use some washi tape to hold your die in place, because you want to make sure it's even side to side, and you also want to make sure it's even from that top edge. So I'm looking here at these 2 peaks, and then I'm looking at my sides. And I think that looks pretty good. So I'm going to hold that in place with my washi tape, and then I'm ready to run it through my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. cuts very nicely. See how I got that dotted edge? So now I'm just going to remove that other piece. And you may want to keep these because you can probably use them somehow on another card. And now I want to cut my pale papaya cardstock the same way. So again, I want to make sure that the peaks are even distance from the top or the edge of that cardstock. And I want to make sure that I have my die evenly spaced across there. And once again, I will cut, and you'll feel kind of a big jump with these dies, especially when you're cutting them in this direction. Not so much if you can turn them so that they're parallel to the cutting plates. Once again, you have that pretty edge that you can probably use on another project. Let me get this out of the way. All right, so we have all of this. Excuse me. I'm going to go ahead and burnish my fold, and I'm going to add my piece of cardstock, pale papaya cardstock, to the card base. Whoops. And this one I'm going to scoot all the way over to the fold. Okay, that left edge of the pale papaya cardstock will match up with the fold. And I have this so far. Then I've cut a piece of 1-inch designer series paper, 1 inch by 5.5. And I'm also going to add that now. And this will be on the inside edge of my card base. So that's what I have so far. Where's my little, here we go. I had these left over from another project. I cut them incorrectly. So I hung on to those. I had about 20 of them, and I thought, you know, I will eventually use those on something. So that's what I'm doing today, using, turn this. And the reason I scooted it over to the left is because I'm going to cut a straight edge. Or I should say scooted the stamp over to the right because I'm cutting a straight edge on the left side. Whoops. There we go. So that's ready to go also. So now let's do the stamping. Okay, this is the fun part. You do need a piece of scrap paper for this. This basic white cardstock measures 5.5 inches by 3 inches, 5.5 by 3. And like I said, we're going to be stamping off, so you do want to have some scrap paper. Now, the way this is set up, you have the leaves and then you have 3 peaches, or the stamp set also has 3 blossoms. And these, both the peaches and the blossoms, fit within here. I'm going to teach you an easy way to put this together. First of all, when you're getting ready to line up stamps, always look at the cover of your stamp case because it's showing the directions of these peaches and these blossoms and how they will fit on the leaf image. So I've got my leaf image on, and then my peaches, you can see I've got it set the same direction as the picture, and I'm just going to set this on top of the first block. And this way, it helps me get the direction pretty much matched up to where I need it to be. And I'll show you that again as I'm ready to stamp the peaches. But for now, I'm just stamping the leaves. I'm going to do some random stamping here to fill in much of the space. If some of the leaves and the peaches end up overlapping, that's really okay. That's how it would happen on a tree, right? I'll fill in this space a little bit here, like that. Okay, let me close this up. Now, I'm going to be honest, on this card, I was stamping with Pale Papaya, and then I thought I was adding Mango Melody, but I was actually adding Pumpkin Pie. When I closed up my stamp set, I realized that. And here's the difference. So it really doesn't matter. Pumpkin Pie isn't even one of the colors in there listed with the designer series paper, but you can see how beautiful it is. So you might want to mix and match and play with those. I did try it with Calypso Coral. That brings in a little more reddish color, which does kind of coordinate better, or not better, closer to the prints in this designer series paper. So since I did that with the pumpkin pie, I'm just going to change it up a little bit and go with, and I don't know which I want to do. Which would you do? The Calypso Coral or the Mango? I think both would work nicely, but I'd love to hear what you all think. This might help you if I show you a piece of designer series paper also. So I think you're going to get it looking more like this if we use the Calypso Coral. So how about if I do that? So I now have two ink colors that I'm using. Set that aside. Ooh, I've got all kinds of stuff going on here. The first thing I'm going to do, Claudia says Calypso Coral. So the first thing I'm going to do is ink this up with my Pale Papaya. I'm not going to stamp it on my paper yet. I'm going to use a sponge dauber. And I want, what color did I just say? Calypso Coral, which is right here. I flipped over my my sponge daubers. The sponge used to be on top, but I learned this from Patty Bennett, and I was like, well, this is brilliant. Then you just stick your finger in and you don't get your fingers messy pulling them out. But they make a lot of noise moving around in there that way. So now I'm going to use my sponge dauber in the Calypso Coral, just tap it and pick up some ink. And I'm just going to lightly tap around some of the edges of my peaches. And then I'm going to match up my peaches, and there are three stems, and you can kind of see on each of the peaches where they go, where they match to the stem, where that stem attaches, or the peach attaches to the stem. And look how pretty that is. Isn't it gorgeous? All right, so I'm going to do it again. Now, I am going to suggest that between the stamping and adding colors, you use our Simply Chamois to clean off your stamp. That way you won't be contaminating the lighter color ink with your darker color ink. So once again, tap in Pale Papaya. Now pick up some Calypso Coral, tap it around the edge. You don't have to worry about getting it perfectly. It all works out. And besides, it's nature. No two peaches are the same, right? But they're all yummy and pretty. And then I'm just going to continue doing this until I have all that space filled up. You might not even have to tap your sponge dauber into the ink pad each time, because I have mine stored in that plastic case. I really don't wash them, but once in a while, just because, now I have to think how, it gets a little tricky when you're trying to figure out how they matched up here. But again, even that doesn't have, you don't have to worry about that. There we go. But as I was saying, if you might even test out your sponge dauber, there might already be enough ink on it. And just tap it lightly. You can always add more color. And notice, just because I'm using my Simply Chamois Between, I'm not contaminating my ink pad with the darker color. If that happens, you can clean it. I would just wipe off the darker color from the ink pad. And then if you need to add more of the light color ink, you can still do that. And you can see why I am having you use the scrap paper when you're doing basically filling in a background with stamping. If you are stamping off the edges of the paper, it actually looks much nicer than trying to fit everything within those four sides. Guess I didn't need to ink up all those, did I? But this way I won't have any empty spots. Alrighty, what do you think? I love it. Isn't it amazing though how you can just use those, use a sponge dauber and another color and get so much dimension from those peaches. And think about using that larger one, that larger peach stamp. You probably could add 3 colors of shading in there, and I think that would be fabulous as well. Maybe these 2 colors and then a punch of, excuse me, a punch of the bright Mango Melody. All right, so let me put the sponge dauber away. And then we'll complete this card and then move on to the other one. Excuse me. I got a tickle in my throat all of a sudden. Alrighty. I think this looks stunning. I'll add my sentiment. Thanks everyone who's here. Thanks for commenting. Remember, each time you comment, you get your name entered into a drawing to win a card from today. So that's pretty. I'm going to add some pearl embellishments. Of course, we have lots and lots of beautiful embellishments you can add. But for this card, this was my choice. You can even color some of the embellishments, like our pearls, with our Stampin' Blends marker if you wanted to customize them to match or coordinate with your other card components. And that is a nice finishing touch for that card. What do you think? You could add ribbons, you could do all kinds of things, but I like it. Oh, this is interesting. Which do you like better? The card we just made together or the sample? I have my thoughts on that. I like them both. I love the sample, but now that I've done the second one and changed out the pumpkin pie to the Calypso coral, and you get a little more of that red, I think I like this one even more. All right, let's put those aside. And by the way, look how pretty this is just by itself. I can picture just stamping this on a note card and making a set of note cards to give as a gift. You know, the 3.5 by 5 cards. Cindy says she loves both. Avis and Amy said they too like the one we made together a little bit better. Okay, let's make the second card. This does not involve much stamping. We're just stamping the sentiment here. Let me move some of these out of the way. There we go. Alrighty. So once again, I'm going to cut those 2 pieces of cardstock using my basic border die and my my large Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And as you know, on the first card, the edge on our card base and that piece of cardstock had the dotted side of the die. This time, I'm going to change it around and we're going to use the stitched side for our card base edge. I'll start with my card base, double check where I'm going. Now I'm going to flip my washi tape to the other side. That's because I prefer to have the washi tape on the side that I'm cutting away, just in case it would get stuck. It's not going to mar my card base. So again, I just want to look from side to side and then look at the top to make sure I have things evenly spaced. I think that looks pretty good. Notice I can use those same couple of pieces of washi tape over and over. What a good tip that was from my friend Tracy Dowling. I'm not sure if, are you on this morning, Tracy? Not sure. But she's absolutely correct. Most of the time, we can use those pieces of washi tape over and over, and we can just stick them to the machine in between. That way, when you pull out your machine and you need it, it's ready. And then when it gets too bad, you just throw them out and start with a couple new pieces. I'm all about being frugal and making my supplies last as long as I can. I sure love that the sides of our machine fold up. It just makes it so much easier to quickly put away and store. Okay, so here you go. Now you can see it. I've got the stitched edge here as compared to the dotted edge on my first card. You see that difference? Just by turning that card base around. Or the die, I'm sorry. Just by turning the die around. By the way, the pieces that I've used, the card base is 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. And then I used a piece of pale papaya, 5.5 by 4 inches. And this time, I'm going to have a little bit of the white on the fold side of the card showing. And that will make my nesting layers a little bit closer together there than on the first card. Okay, well, it's just a matter, I think they both work really well. It's just a matter of personal preference. This designer series paper, once again, is 5.5 inches by 1 inch. This piece of designer series paper is cut 5.5 by 3 inches. I'm going to stamp the sentiment, have a peachy day. Kind of a fun, different way to say have a great day, or sending a card to cheer somebody up. And I need my Label Me Fancy punch. Just center that on there. I had the ribbon going all around the card base. This time I'm going to add this, but just add a bow instead. I've already tied a pale papaya bow. Anybody else out there celebrating Mother's Day? I know many of you watching are mothers. I hope you have a fabulous day celebrating, however you choose, with family and friends. If you're without a mom on Mother's Day, please know that I understand, but we can still celebrate our moms in heaven. And I'll put this on with a glue dot. And many of us are also aunts, sisters, and maybe just that somebody special that kind of plays a mom role in somebody's life. And I think we just, as women, we need to celebrate each other. Some of us are moms to fur babies, some to small children, adult children. Some will be celebrating with moms, some not. But whatever you choose, celebrate yourself this weekend. Because as women, we're all important, and we all have to, we all contribute to this world, and we all have to lift each other up. So please keep that in mind as you're celebrating this Mother's Day weekend. All right, I do need some embellishments. Now, this package is just about out of the pale papaya ones. I was thinking about the green, but I'm not sure that I love it on there. And then I thought about these. These are our loose flowering flourishes. Oh, those may work on here. Let's see how many there are. What do you think? Oh, I'll try that. It's good to step outside of my box sometimes. Okay, and my glue dots are all falling apart here. Let's see what's happening, because I'm making a mess with them. All right, so these do require you to use glue dots with them. They come in, what, 2 or 3 different sizes? Looks like 2 sizes. In 3 of our new colors, Pale Papaya, Polished Pink, and Fresh Freesia. I'm going to use 5 on here. Okay. The flowers, the flowering flourishes are the same shape as the blossoms in this designer series paper. So I think these work really well on this card. But of course, like I said, we have many, many, many embellishments that would work on both of these cards. Oh, very nice. Okay, so you got to see a few different embellishments used today. All right, so what do you think? Do you have a preference, one over the other, or do you like them equally? This is the sample I made, and then this is the one we made together. Any preferences? Ava says she likes the flower embellishments on there. Awesome. Oh, Cindy, I'm glad. You know, I just say what I mean and mean what I say. And if I read something, a quote or a story or anything that speaks to me, I like to share it. And so I'm glad that my words lifted you up today. Claudia says the one we made together. Ava says equally. Okay, I'm leaning towards this one. And I didn't think I would like the flowering flourish embellishments on there, but I really do. So honestly, I'd be okay with any of these. So who would like to win a card today? I'll be giving away the cards, the cards we made together. And all you have to do is comment now if you haven't already, and you get an extra entry into the drawing for sharing. Cindy, mom in heaven and no children. Yes, but you are a vital part of our world and you do make a difference to many people. Amy says, me. Ava's me. Awesome. Okay, so I will have the drawing for that shortly, and then I'm just going to continue working and playing with some new product until I meet up with my girls in a couple of hours here. Thank you for spending part of your Saturday with me. I know this is an unusual time for us to get together, but I thank you and I appreciate you. Have a wonderful weekend and happy Mother's Day.